In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, Mike, hot 2, 1.
Welcome to E-Factor's Legend Series. I'm your host, Ruth King. I have a delightful guest for you today, Ajit Backus. Say that right?
Very good.
Very good. Thank you very much. We wrote a book called Beyond the Crisis. And we're going to talk a little bit about the book, but I want you to get to know Ajit because he's a really cool guy. And he's a futurologist, and he's going to talk about some of the things that he's seen in all of his travels and research and study all across the world, and some of his predictions about how we're going to be getting out of this crisis. So Ajit, welcome.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you. And he has done series in Dutch television where he's played the host, so I've got him in the other chair instead of having to be in this chair. So he gets to answer the questions this time instead of actually asking the questions. So we're going to have a fun interview today, but I think our members, our E-Factor members, will get a lot out of it because the financial crisis has basically hit the entire world.
That's right.
And we might actually talk a little bit about financial astrology. Could we spend a minute or two on that?
Of course.
That was the thing that really got me, like financial astrology. He walked in the door and I said, okay, what is this? And we're going to talk about what financial astrology is and about 3 or 4 points in some of Ajit's research and what it's showing about what's going to be happening in the future and where the economies are going as well as where different nations are going and pretty much how we're getting into a lot of city-states rather than looking at national type of alliances anymore. So we'll do a little bit about background. We'll cover the opportunities that present itself in this financial crisis, some of the world megatrends, which is your second book.
That's right.
And then living with that all, is that going to be your third book?
That's right.
All right, so we've got Beyond the Crisis now as our first book. We got 2 more to look forward to. So how'd you get into this absolutely nutty, crazy business of futurology?
Because I came from the other nutty business of communications, and usually communication specialists are not specialists but generalists, and we talk to everybody who makes noise. And usually specialists, like for example the financial industry, only talk to other people in the financial industry. Specialists in the technological field only talk to other technological people. So we talk to a lot of people, and if you can talk to a lot of people, you can combine all this knowledge into trends and megatrends, and that's how I started it about 20 years ago.
Okay.
Now in Chinese, yes, as well.
We have Chinese, we have English, we have Dutch, and the ability to actually see the entire world and what's going on worldwide, not only in a particular country.
No, that's right.
So
if you look, for example, at this financial crisis, this new great economic depression, this is the 5th one in 200 years' time. And so it's happened before. Only the 4 months before it took 20 years to get out of it, 20 to 30 years to get out of it. I think we will get out of this in 2 or 3 years' time because we learned something from the crisis before. And what we see of the crisis before, these depressions before, they are always at the end of a technological era and the start of a new one. For example, we had it before the start of the steam engines. We had it before the trains were introduced. We had it before the Industrial Revolution. And we have and we will have this one because it marks the end of an era. It's like a cleanup, like the cleanup you have after winter when spring starts, but it's the beginning of the new season. That's what we do. It's the big cleanup, and let's be fair, the financial industry needed to be cleaned up.
absolutely.
And like your house needs to be cleaned up after winter, so it's fine.
Yeah.
And then we'll start all over again.
And then we'll have whatever age it is at that point, and then we'll come to the end of that age, and we'll probably have another one.
Oh, in 20 years' time, we will have the new crisis. So prepare for that.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. It's part of life.
part of life,
It's
yeah.
an economic winter, and after an economic winter, you always have an economic spring. And actually, this was all discovered in the 1900s by a Russian economist, who was called Mr. Nikolai Kondratyev. And Kondratyev was asked by Stalin, the dictator at that time in Russia, can you tell me when capitalism will implode? Because when we economies can take over. And then Kondratyev studied the economy of the past 800 years, and then he discovered that the economy always develops itself in seasons: economic winter, spring, summer, autumn, and then it all starts again. Okay, that's fun. And when does it end? When is the winter so severe that we can take over? And then Kondratyev said, well, Mr. Stalin, that's the problem. Capitalism always renews itself, and there's always an economic spring after economic winter. And then Stalin became so angry that he had Kondratyev executed. Well, the execution of Kondratijev is good news for us. Capitalism will renew itself and economic spring will start after the end of 2011.
Yeah, and you talk about taking advantage. There are many businesses that are doing well in this economic crisis.
I mean, people are doing well. Look, for example, at the Kennedy family. They made their fortune in the 1930s. And then they became so rich that they could fund the political careers of their sons later on. So Kennedy became president thanks to the crisis of the 1930s. So that's fun. So we should do the same. Monopoly was invented in the 1930s because all these unemployed people were bored. So one smart guy invented Monopoly to keep all these people occupied, and it worked. Now we see the same. The gaming industry is thriving because all these people are bored, so they buy games, or they don't lease them, or they get one in other ways. But people are bored. Hollywood became big in the 1930s because people needed entertainment and people needed good news. People were so fed up with all the negativity in the news, which is happening
again right now.
Yeah. If you're not depressed already, you're becoming depressed by watching the news.
No, you just don't watch it. You turn it off and
turn it off and have a look at a nice Hollywood movie or a nice clip or something else. Do something else.